Moving away from that, no fewer than 13 suspected criminals were killed while 88 suspects were arrested by troops of the Nigerian army in various operations across 20 states of the Federation. Among those arrested include 50 suspects comprising foreigners who were nabbed for alleged international job racketeering. The Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema disclosed this on Wednesday while briefing journalists on the successes recorded by the various operations launched by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, on October 6. The Army Chief launched Exercise Stillwaters, Enduring Peace, and Exercise Golden Dawn to provide adequate security before, during, and after the Yuletide. According to Onyema, he noted that troops have maintained an offensive posture and conducted raids on criminal hideouts, among others. Still talking security, the Minister of Defense, Badaru Abubakar, and the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, have paid an operational visit to the Theatre Command of Operation Hadin in Maiduguri, Borno State, charging troops at the battlefields to uphold professionalism. During the visit, Abubakar declared that it is the resolve of the authorities that in no distant future we will see the end of insecurity. The ministers were accompanied by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogalla, and the Chief of Defense Intelligence, Major General Emmanuel Undiandeye. Now, Matawalle's spokesperson, Anas Abdullahi, in a statement made available to journalists on Wednesday, said the ministers were in Maiduguri, Borno State capital, with the high-level delegation of the service chiefs assigned by President Bola Tinubu to assess the security situation in the theater of operations. Now, to discuss this, we're joined by Ahmed Musa Husaini. He's a security analyst and he joins us from Abuja, Nigeria. Good morning and thank you so much for joining me on News Central Now.
Hello, good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, what specific criteria or protocols guides the Nigerian Army's operations that resulted in the deaths of 13 suspected criminals and also the arrest of 88 individuals across 20 states?
So I think from what the Nigerian Army themselves have been saying, these operations actually are conducted in order to ensure security before, during, and after the Yuletide season. So I think so basically it is a kind of a traditional for the Nigerian military to conduct such operations. So as we approach the Yuletide season. And the objective is actually to kind of mow the lawn, like to quell some criminal tendencies and provide some semblance or some relatively security and stability ahead of the Christmas season. So as part of the protocol that Nigerian Army operates, this is actually an internal operation, and there have been a lot of worries by different stakeholders about the Nigerian Army being deployed to conduct internal operations, which is basically police job. So, and I know recently the Nigerian Army has reviewed its code of conduct and rules of engagement when, conducting, military, internal military operations within Nigeria. And this was actually born out of human rights concerns by various human rights groups, across the world about, the tendencies for the military to actually perpetrate some human rights abuses during internal operations like that. So I think, basically or practically, there are a lot of, rules and protocols that are guiding this, and the Nigerian Army is claiming to be abiding by these rules.
It being a norm every Yuletide season, or how successful have they been in the past?
Yeah, actually, I think they are successful to a certain extent. As I keep saying, it is basically an internal operation. It is basically the role of the Nigerian police force. And I think the solution lies in strengthening the Nigerian police force to be able to conduct its operations, to perform its mandate effectively. Yeah, as I said, what the military usually does is like mowing the lawn, like, trying to, when the crime rate rises up, then the military now intervenes with some operations and then it mows the lawn. by, reducing or eliminating some form of this, criminal elements, and then but after some time they can come back, because there's not any sustainable framework or mechanism in place to ensure that these crimes actually do not come back, to ensure that these criminals do not resuscitate in one form or another. Because effectively the military operations like this, the criminals actually, most of them, they actually, when the heat is too much, they actually run away to some safe havens, to some sanctuaries outside the military's major areas of operations, and then they come back when the station actually improves, for them to improve. So what mechanism do we have in place to ensure that they don't come back, to ensure that the military keep pursuing them, or our security agencies generally? And this requires some form of interagency coordination between the military, the police, the intelligence agencies, to ensure that these criminals are constantly being pursued, to ensure that we deny them any safe haven, any hiding place, and to ensure that there is some mechanism or some framework in place that keeps targeting them, that keeps responding to emerging security threats across the country.
So thank you so much, Ahmed Musa Husaini, for joining me. Hopefully the continued threat that actually leads to insecurity in our country will be tackled, or dealt with decisively. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's my pleasure.